friends, it's Kathleen, and today I'm going to be talking about the best 5 books I've read so far in 2017. I've seen this video floating around for a little while, so I finally decided I would film my own version of it. I've read, I think, 33 books so far in 2017, and most of them were really good. There hasn't been anything I hated, unless we're talking about To the Lighthouse by Virginia Woolf, in which case we're just not gonna talk about it. But otherwise, for the most part, books that I've read on my own, and even a few I read for class, I actually did really enjoy. There's only been a couple major disappointments, but I do have 5 that stand out as the absolute best I've read that really struck me and really seemed like something a bit better than everything else. So without further ado, here are those 5 books. The first book here, most of you could probably see coming, and that's because I've mentioned it a million times on my channel so far, but that is When Dimple Met Rishi by Sandya Menon. When Dimple Met Rishi is about a girl named Dimple who really wants to go to a computer summer coding camp, but her parents seem to have only interest in finding her the ideal Indian husband, something she's not really interested in at all. But she starts to think they're maybe taking more of an interest in her dreams when they decide they're going to send her to this camp, and they seem really enthusiastic about it. Until she meets Rishi at this camp, who turns out to be the boy that her parents and his parents have thought that she would make a great arranged marriage with. So when they both express interest in the camp, they decide that they're gonna throw them together and both send them off and hope that something happens. I've said so many times that this book is such a fun summer read, and that is totally true. It is such a fun book. But at the same time, I think there's something a little more to it. I love the exploration of different cultures in this book. I had never read a book with an arranged marriage before this book, and honestly, I hadn't read a lot of books with South Asian and Indian protagonists, so I'm really happy that this book featured that. It's so well written, and it goes into the culture and depicts it well, and yes, it depicts this girl who is second generation, she's American, and she kind of pokes fun at her parents' culture a lot, but it doesn't feel like a laugh at you situation. It's much more of a laugh with you kind of thing. So I thought that that was done really well in this book. The characters as well are just so good in this. I love Dimple. I think she's absolutely hilarious. She's super spunky and isn't really interested in what people think of her and just wants to do her own thing. Also, my heart melts for Rishi Patel, my book boyfriend. I love Rishi. I think he's the cutest thing in the whole world. Rishi is very dedicated to his family's values, unlike Dimple, and he's very determined that he wants to have this arranged marriage. He's not disrespectful of Dimple's wishes at all. He totally understands and he accepts at first that he doesn't think she's interested, but he's still very passionate about his heritage and he loves where he comes from, and that is something I really admired in him, and he's just the cutest thing ever. This book, it's just an adorable read. I would highly recommend it to anybody. So this book is definitely in my top 5 books. Next we have a kind of random one, but it's one that I actually really like, and I wasn't thinking of including it on this list at first, but then I thought about it some more and I thought, you know what, I really love this book, and that is Things I Should Have Known by Claire Lozebnek. Things I Should Have Known follows the story of a girl named Chloe who has a sister with autism, and she decides she's going to set up her sister with another boy in her class because she thinks it'll be good for her. However, the boy in the class turns out to be the brother of a boy Chloe knows from school and who she's not very fond of. They supervise the two on a lot of dates and start to bond over their siblings' issues, but at the same time, Chloe still has a boyfriend who doesn't fully understand her sister, and she also deals with the rest of the world that just doesn't accept her sister for who she is. This is another contemporary that I highly recommend if you really want a depiction of something that isn't very often depicted in YA, and in this case that's autism, and I think it's done so well here. One of Claire Lozebnek's children does have autism, so if you're looking for a book that's own voices, this isn't 100% it, but it's a pretty accurate depiction. As someone who does not have autism and doesn't know anybody really close with autism, I think this book did a pretty good job of showing what it's like, and especially showing it through the lives of a family member. And that's something that I thought was really important in this book, is that because Claire Lozebnek doesn't have autism herself, it's a family member who does, she showed it through the lens of somebody who lives with that person but not the person themselves. I think it really made the story more honest and authentic because she was telling it through her own personal views. This is a super cute book, but I love that it explores some deeper issues as well. It's not super simple, and it isn't just, I'm going to set up my sister with a boy and happily ever afters happen. There's diversity in this book, there's fun shenanigans. There's an interesting detail where the main character is actually very popular at school and she's not demonized for it, which is something that we often don't see in YA, where a lot of people are considered bad if they're popular. It's automatically coding for a mean girl. So I really love that she didn't depict Chloe that way, and I thought this is just a fantastic book. Next up here we have one that I actually don't think I've ever mentioned on my channel, which is surprising considering how much I loved it, but that is The Upside of Unrequited by Becky Albertalli. Becky Albertalli is also the author of Simon versus the Homo Sapiens Agenda, a really cute book I also really love. She writes the best contemporaries. They are so cute. They really get into teens' heads. I love that they're not super poetic and they're just very funny and entertaining to read, and they're very heartwarming at the same time. I love her writing style. It's just so great. And this book is about a girl named Molly who has had 17 crushes but has never had a boyfriend, and her sister Cassidy finally gets a girlfriend for the first time after having many flirtations throughout her life, and she decides that she's going to try and set up Molly with another one of her girlfriend's friends named Will. At the same time, Molly starts a new job and she meets a boy named Reed who she also thinks she could never fall for, but over time she starts to wonder if maybe she could. This is another one of those absolutely perfect summer books, but I really think this is perfect for any time of year. It's so cute. I think I flew through it in less than a day, and I had school, so that's saying something. I think more than just being books about romance, Becky Albertalli's books are also about friendship and family, and I think that's so important. Some of the main tensions in this book don't just come from Molly's love life, they also come from her relationship with Cassidy, and her relationships with her parents, and her relationship with her cousin Abby. And I think it's really great that it doesn't just show characters falling in love, it has something else to it. I honestly like this book more than I liked Simon versus the Homo Sapiens Agenda. I remember when I read Simon, I loved it, but I felt a little bored at times, and this one just entertained me from start to finish. I think it's super fantastic, and I highly recommend it. Next up, we have a book that took me by complete surprise, although it probably shouldn't have because I really enjoyed this author's debut, but that book is No Good Deed by Goldie Moldavsky. No Good Deed is about a boy named Gregor who goes to a camp called Camp Save the World, and Gregor has always had this dream that someday he's going to feed all the starving children of the world, just like his hero Robert Drill, who got really famous off a tech company and then started donating millions of dollars to charity. If you couldn't tell, Robert Drill is a bit of a Bill Gates parody, and this entire book is a parody. Gregor finds out pretty quickly that this camp isn't exactly everything it says it is. First of all, there's this new element added to the camp pretty early on where they're going to have a competition where everyone's going to enter with their cause, and they're going to try to be the best at their cause they can be while at the camp, and then they'll get an internship with Robert Drill in Florida. Of course, this turns everybody super cutthroat, and they start sabotaging each other and going after everybody. In the meantime, there's also a celebrity named Ashley who is also at the camp, and everybody assumes, including Gregor, that she's really just there for the attention, and everyone but Gregor seems to worship her anyway. I don't want to spoil too much of this book because it is hilarious. It is so entertaining. I give it 5 out of 5 stars. That's how much I loved it. But there is so many layers to how funny this book is, and I just want to give an idea. First of all the characters go by their causes. They don't have names except for I think 3 or 4 people. They're all called things like feminism or save the world with song or save the children, and it is super hilarious. If you think that it's just a parody of social justice warriors, it's kind of a parody of the whole concept of social justice, because on the other side we also have a character named Men's Rights who's super obnoxious and just likes to torment feminism. And he's not portrayed as a good guy, so I think this is absolutely an affectionate parody. It's so funny, and it's totally not what I expected. I thought this was going to be a catty, ridiculous high school novel, and it is not in the slightest. It is a funny, smart novel that I absolutely think everybody should read. It's one of the best YAs I've read in a long time, and definitely one of the best I've read all year. And then finally, I mentioned this book in my June wrap-up, but I had to talk about it because I love it so much. It's one I don't own a physical copy of because I listened to it on audio, which, by the way, totally recommend. But that is History Is All You Left Me by Adam Silvera. History Is All You Left Me follows the story of a boy named Griffin whose ex-boyfriend Theo dies in a drowning accident, and he finds himself very distraught after it happens, and he finds that the only person he can turn to anymore is Theo's new boyfriend Jackson, even more so than his best friend Wade, who was also Theo's best friend prior to his death. Obviously, as you can tell, this is a very sad story. There's so many lines in it that just punch you in the gut. They destroy you, they make you feel all the things, and you totally feel Griffin's pain. At the same time, as much as I sympathized with Griffin at the beginning, you will come to change your opinion. Not that you'll dislike Griffin or anything, but just your opinions on the characters in general will change throughout the novel. And that's something I really loved. There was a lot of development for them, but also just a lot of surprises in this book. At the beginning, I was totally like, hashtag down with Jackson. But later, I started to see what a complex character Jackson really was, and I started to understand him a lot more, and I actually really liked him. I thought he was great. I thought that all four boys depicted, Griffin, Theo, Wade, and Jackson, were all very unique. They were all very different, and I really liked that. I think that despite the fact that this is clearly a very sad book, there's also a lot of funny moments that really lighten up the plot a bit. It's told in a future past sort of format, where one chapter is the current situation and then one chapter is history, and then the current chapters are called today. And you see everything up to Theo's death and then everything that's happening after Theo's death. The story is just really beautifully told. I really love Adam Silvera's writing. His characters don't come across as too melodramatic or over the top or too poetic for their age. They're very normal and they are totally believable. I really liked all of them, even though by the end of the book, Griffin drove me insane. There were chapters where I was like, come on, you need to stop, Griffin. But that doesn't mean I didn't love him as a character overall. I thought he was really great. I thought all the characters were so realistic and totally what would happen in that situation. I also love Wade. He is my baby. He is my child. I love him. He is precious and deserves everything good in this world, so no one ever be mean to him. It's just overall a really fantastic novel. I cannot say enough good things about it. I was in awe towards the end of it. It was so well done, and I just think it's a wonderful book that I want everybody to read. I also listened to it on audiobook, and I actually highly recommend that way of reading it, mainly because there's a lot of stuff towards the end that's pretty surprising. I don't know about you, but I am somebody whose eyes just skip to the last line by accident, and I'll see things all the time that I don't want to see, and they're major spoilers. But with audiobook, I didn't have to deal with that. That was the first audiobook I'd ever listened to, actually, and I really enjoyed it. It really made me want to pick up more, and the narrator, Tom Picasso, did a really beautiful job. His version was just so fantastic. I totally felt like he was a teenage boy dealing with the kind of situation Griffin was in. So I loved it. I think that's a really great way to take in this story. The book's probably really good too, but I just think that listening to it really added something to it, especially since it was just such a heartbreaking emotional book and it really ran through you more when you listened to it. So those were the top 5 books that I've read so far in 2017. I hope you guys did enjoy this video. If you had any of the same books on your list or you felt differently about these books, let me know. As well, let me know what your favorite book of 2017 has been so far. Give this video a big thumbs up if you did enjoy it. I upload videos every Tuesday and Friday, so hit subscribe if you'd like to see more. As well, if you'd like to follow me on any of my social medias, the links will all be in the description. But in the meantime, I will see you guys next time. Bye!